Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, back with another video for the new Boston. Now in this video we're going to be looking at different string functions inside PHP, how you use them and why they might be useful. So we're going to go through a few string functions in this video, the parts of this video, and we're just going to use an example string along the way. So let's go ahead and create our example string. So I'm going to create a new variable called string, and this is going to be equal to a particular string. So for example, I'm going to say this is an example string. So we're going to be doing a few things with this particular string along the length of the videos that we're going to create, and we're going to be creating new variables which use these functions and apply these functions to this particular string. So first of all, let's go ahead and look at string word count. Now you can imagine why this may be useful in particular situations. You might want to count a certain amount of words, maybe through user input or through database use, etc, etc. But I'm sure you can find a use in your own web application, but for now this is how you use it. Now I'm going to create a new variable called string word count, and this is going to be equal to the function name, which is str word count. Now this function takes 3 arguments in total. Only one of them is required, and the one that is required is the actual string itself. So I'm just referencing this variable here, which is equal to this string here. So let's go down here and echo this out, and then we'll talk about the different arguments we can give this function to perhaps make it more useful to us. Okay, so let's go ahead to our browser and refresh the page and see what we have. Okay, so we get a value of 5 returned when we echo out the result of this function. So you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. The full stop doesn't count, that's not included in our list of words. We can specify things that we want to class as words, maybe symbols later on, but for now this is how many words are in the string. Now let's go ahead and look at an argument we can give this. So we can give this the second argument as 0, 1 or 2. So I'll go through each one and explain which one which is which. So 0 is what we've already seen. This just returns an integer value, as we've already seen, with the amount of words in there, with no other arguments specified. 1 will produce an array where the key is equal to the word itself. So you know, the key is irrelevant in this. It will just be the default. So it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then each value of each key will contain the word in the string. So what we're actually doing is we're creating an array, and we're almost splitting this up. So let's go ahead and try and echo this out, and you'll see that we'll just get a value here of array. This is because it's now stored as an array after we've given this argument. So what we can do, just to be quick, is we can use this print r here and enclose the word count in this, and this will display all the elements of an array. Oh, spelled that wrong. Okay, so print r, let's go back, refresh, and now what you can see is we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all these keys that we've been returned equal the words that we have. So we're not using an associative array here, we're using just a normal array, and we've got this is an example string without the full stop like I mentioned earlier. So that's how we're going to put our results into an array. Now if we use a string with the argument 2, this is going to return an associative array. Now as you can see here, we've got each key is as normal, so we start at 0 and we're ending at 4. What this will now do is the key will equal the position, so the key will now become an associative value. It will have the position of where each word starts, and then the value of each key will be the word itself. So let's go ahead and refresh this. Now you can see 0, that's at position, or this, the word this is at position 0, is at position 5, and is at position 8, example is at position 11, and string is at position 19 inside of our string here. So they're the three different arguments you can give in this, or the 3 different values rather you can give in this argument. There is a last, let's just change this back to, we'll leave that at 1. The third argument that we can give is a list of words that we want to include as words. So by default, a full stop will not be included as a word. So because this is part of string here, what we could do is come in here and specify a full stop, for example, inside our single quotation marks. So we're specifying the full stop is part of a word. So now what's going to happen is, let's say we return, we'll return 1 and we refresh. You can see that we're still giving back an associative array, even though, well, let's put that at 0, for example. And we'll just echo out this. What you can see that's happened is we've still got 5 words, but if we then go back and print r, if we then go back and change this value up here to 1 or 2, so we're producing either our array or our associative array, you can see that instead of just string, we've got string with the full stop on the end there. So now let's go ahead and separate this full stop from the word string and refresh, and you can see it's given us 5 different, we've got 6 stop as part of that. Whereas if we were not to specify this here, it would only produce words themselves. So we can specify words here, or characters here if you like. So I could say an ampersand, and if I was to say an ampersand and a full stop, I'd say this is an example string and this is a tutorial. You can see that when we refresh, we have a few things. So we've got this is an example string, and so we've included our ampersand as a word now that we've specified it in here, and also we've specified a full stop. Now you don't need any commas or anything for this, they're just literally the symbols next to each other. So I could put an exclamation mark, for example, an asterisk, anything I wanted, just next to each other. And you can also see the full stop's been included on the end there inside tutorial. Again, let's say separate that full stop and refresh, and you can see that's been included as well. So this is the string word count function and the many ways that you can use it. We're now going to move on to string shuffle. So let's go ahead and get rid of this, and let's change our string back to how it was. Okay, so the string shuffle function, let's go ahead and say string underscore shuffled equals, it is written like this, so it's str, it's the same as many string functions, str underscore shuffle, and we're only taking one argument here, and that's just the string. So we're taking in a string, and what we're doing is we're shuffling it. Now I'll show you what this does when we preview it. So we're echoing out our shuffled string, and you can get an idea of what happens when I click refresh now. Okay, so what it's actually done is it's just taken each character of the string and it's randomly shuffled it. So let's keep refreshing, and you can see that shuffling each time. Now, why might this function be useful? Well, in the past I've used it for, let's say I was uploading a file and I wanted to give it a random generated name. A great way to do this is to actually use this str shuffle to shuffle the file name of your file, obviously without the .jpeg extension or the .png or whatever file you're uploading, but you can always add that extension on the end. But string shuffle is great for just randomly generating some text, but giving it a sensible value as well. So instead of, say, generating a massive random number or an MD5 hash, you can use this string shuffle to shuffle some characters. Another really useful way of, a useful use, if you like, for this function is, let's just say our string was a collection of, let's say, letters and numbers, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I won't bore you with the rest of the alphabet. And then we could do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What this is actually going to do is it's just going to generate a random sequence of letters and numbers. So let's go ahead and refresh. You can see that it's just generating a random sequence of letters and numbers. Again, really good for a randomization of say a file name or a /. Say you had a website that created a shortened URL. What you might want to do is say string shuffled equals this shuffle, and then you might want to actually split this string in half. So what we could do is we could come and say, well, we could use the substring function. So what we could say is, let's go down here. So we could say half is equal to substring. So using the substring function, we're feeding in the string shuffled value. And then what we're doing is we are giving it the start and the mid value. So this would be the string length of the string. So this is equal to half of the length of the amount of, characters. Or you could just simply say 10, for example, if you wanted a 10 characters returned. Let's say 5 for now so we can see the difference. Let's refresh and you can see, oh no, what's happened here? Oh, sorry, yeah. So echo half, what we're actually doing is we're just returning a few characters. So this is really good for a random character generation. And in this example I've shown you string shuffle and the substring function as well. However, here you could say string length of the string divided by 2. So that will cut this in half. So we've got half of whatever is in our string up here. So there's many ways you can do this. Obviously, you can use different string functions with different string functions to create a really nice effect for useful things. So that's the use of the string shuffle. That's a really nice way to use that function. We also have something not similar to this, but something that you may struggle to find use for. Personally, I've struggled to find use for this function, and it's the str reverse function. So let's go ahead and change this string to, this is an example string, for example. Str reverse, and then we could echo out string reversed. Let's go ahead and change our variable name here. Reversed. So what we're doing is we're reversing the string using this string reverse function, and then we're just echoing that out. So let's go and have a look at that in our browser. Pass error on line 7, so that's going to be me. Yep. Semicolon on the end of my line there. Okay, so you can see that, string rev. Okay, let's go refresh. Oh no. Okay, again, yep, sorry, I've added that. So it's strrev. You can probably tell I don't use this function too often, but just for demonstration purposes, you can see that what it's done now is reverse the string. Now, I've just actually, while I've been doing this tutorial, thought of a good way that this might be used. Probably not recommended to, but let's say we uploaded a file, say called image.jpg. We could echo string reversed, and we could do the substring of this, and we could get the first, say, three letters, which would return our file type. However, if you think about it, this actually wouldn't work because it could be JPEG or JPEG. So that's the string reverse function. Just thought I'd drop it into this video anyway. If you can find a use out of it, that's great. The only use I can think of it is for novelty use, but there we are. So the next function we're going to look at is slightly more useful. It is comparing two strings for similarity. Let's go ahead and get rid of everything here, and we can start from scratch. Okay, so we use this function slightly differently. Let's go ahead and create two strings, and we're going to calculate the percentage and similarity between two strings. Now you can use this in a variety of functions. For example, two people's, well, I can give you an example, plagiarism, for example. If you were checking for plagiarism between two different say essays written, you could use this similar text function, and it would return the percentage and similarity between each essay, for example. But obviously in this example we're just going to be dealing with simple strings, so I'm going to say string 1 is equal to this is my essay. I'm going to be talking about PHP, for example. Let's go ahead and escape that character there. String 2 might equal this is my essay. Let's say someone was to slightly change an essay. I will be talking about the subject PHP. Now what we can actually do here is we can now use this string function to compare the percentage and similarity between these two strings. So let's go ahead and say similar underscore text. It's not required to put into a variable because we're going to be returning the result within the function in one of the arguments and then echoing that back out. So the three arguments we need to pass are string 1, string 2, and then we need a result variable here. So we've got this result here which we can then go and echo out. So we could say the similarity between is, and then we can append on result. Let's put that there. So the similarity between is, let's go ahead and refresh. You can see it's 78%. So for example, if this was a long essay and the similarity was 78%, there's obviously something wrong here. For example, if we were to completely change this string, my essay is about PHP. I'm going to be talking about everything to do with PHP. Let's just go ahead and escape that. Let's go ahead and refresh, and you can see that the percentage has dropped significantly. However, if this was a longer string, there would be more to compare, and if they were very different, you'd get something completely different. So, for example, my essay is about cats. I'll escape that. Be talking about cats and their colours. That'd be nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and refresh, and you can see that the similarity drops still. So that's how you use this function, and I've given you an example of why it might be useful. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about some more simpler functions. Let's go create our string here. That's going to be equal to, this is an example string. Okay, so the first one we're going to be talking about is the string length. So string length is equal to, and this function is called strlen with no underscore, and then you just feed in the string that you want. This is a really useful function because, for example, if you were validating a form and you wanted to check that the length wasn't any bigger than a specific amount, you could then just use this inside an if statement to check the string length. For example, if the name, the name of the user or the username wasn't meant to be any more than 25 characters, you could say something like if string length is smaller than 25, then we can say yep, that's absolutely fine. Otherwise we could produce an error, just for an example. So let's go ahead and echo out the string length just to give you an idea of what this returns. So it will return an integer value. This counts the characters, so we've got 26. That seems about right. That's including the full stop as well, so it's any text inside. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go on to the trim. Now there's three different types of trim. There's trim in general, there's L trim, and there's R trim. So let's go ahead and say string trimmed equals trim, and that is string here. Ooh, string. So why is this function useful? Well, what it will do first is it will trim the white space from the left and the right hand side of a string. So if we've got white space here and we've got white space here, this function will just return this itself. So let's go ahead and first of all echo out the string so we can see what we've got here. Let's go and refresh. Okay, so you can see that, oh no, that's because it's going to return like that, isn't it? Well, I'm not sure how to show you this as an example, but we could go ahead and echo string trimmed. So this is just basically going to return the trimmed string. I think if we go ahead and put in and MBSP in there, ooh, and we put that at the end as well, which is an HTML space, and let's echo out string. Okay, yeah, so now we've got a space at the start and the end of our string. Let's go ahead now and echo out string trimmed, and that should produce Oh no, because I'm using HTML data. Anyway, okay, so let me just explain this rather than demonstrate it. If we were to have a string like this, why might we have a string like this? Well, let's say you were feeding in values from a text file, for example, and you'd use, say, an explode function to get each value separated by a comma into a string. You may have white space on either side. Now this might affect if statements, because you might be comparing, let's say, if the certain value is equal to this that I've just highlighted in blue, when in actual fact it might equal this which I've highlighted in blue, so it might have white space either side. We can use this trim function to trim the white space from the left and the right, which will then just result in the string itself here. So that's the trim function. Alternatively, if you just wanted to trim the left-hand side white space, you can use ltrim, and vice versa, if you wanted to trim the right-hand side white space, you can use rtrim. So that is the rtrim function, and the left and the standard trim, of course. Okay, so the last we're going to talk about is mainly for security purposes. Let's go ahead and say string is equal to this is a string. Maybe in here we could, yeah, well, we'll leave it as now. This is the add slashes function. So slashes equals add slashes, and we'll supply that with the string. So let's go ahead and echo out string slashes to see the result that we've got. Okay, nothing at the moment. Now let's go ahead and add in image source equals something, so image.jpg, for example. Now the first thing is, when we test this, you'll see that it's added slashes before this and this double quotation mark. No, it hasn't. So okay, let's go ahead and get rid of this and just put a slash in. So for that, you would use the HTML entities function if you wanted to remove the you know, the HTML code as a whole. So let's go back to that actually, and we'll use the HTML entities function in here, and let's go ahead and refresh. Okay, sorry. Sure that has an underscore somewhere there. No. Okay, so what have I done wrong here? HTML entities. There we go, that was my spelling. So you can see now that we've produced a string with this data here. So what we've done is we've used the add slashes to add slashes just in here. Let's go ahead and remove this add slashes function, and you can see that that's just produced it on its own. So why is this HTML entity, why is this add slashes function useful? Well, it's useful so we don't pass anything that we don't want to. For example, with SQL injection, which I do have another video on, so go ahead and watch that if you haven't already. And if you've used databases before, that will be useful. But add slashes is basically going to add our slashes to escape different characters for security purposes. So now what we can do is go ahead and say echo strip slashes, and there we go. So let's go ahead and get rid of that there, and you can see that we've got rid of them. So we've added slashes here and we've stripped slashes here. Let's just get rid of that again so you can see the difference there. So why would you want to strip slashes? Well, for example, data may be stored in a database if it was going to be produced onto a page for viewing, and you might want to strip the slashes, or add the slashes rather, so this isn't passed as HTML code. Now, why would you want to strip the slashes? If you were, say, putting this data back into a text box for people to edit, so you might have this in an input text box, you'll want to strip the slashes before you put it into a text box for people to edit, and then you'll want to obviously add slashes when it's going to be viewed as plain text on a page anywhere on your website. So if you ever find you need to get rid of these to allow, either for SQL query security, or just to display data on your page securely, then the add slashes is the function to use, and to remove this is strip slashes, which will then allow you to view the plain data. So that's a short collection of string functions in PHP. There are many more. You can go to the PHP manual at php.net, have a look through the string functions, but these are the ones that I tend to use, apart from the string reverse, I tend to use on a regular basis when I'm coding. So yeah, they're the string functions in PHP.